Hi Pisces, welcome to your horoscope. Today we're going to talk about an aspect that is becoming exact in February 2021, but in the month of May we are seeing a preview of that, and that is because Saturn is standing still, making a loose square with Uranus, the planet of sudden changes. Saturn is all about creating structure, it's about creating something long term, and Uranus is all about detaching from the old and moving into something that is more free and more authentic. These two planets are going to be in clash in 2021. As I mentioned in the introductory part of this aspect, this is the most important aspect for the evolution of human life. Any kind of human evolution that has happened from Magna Carta to World Wide Web has happened under the influence of Saturn and Uranus cycle, because one helps the other, although they clash with each other, as does the old and the new. But Saturn gives the discipline and Uranus gives the innovation, and together they can really create something new out of our impulses, out of our impulse to do something new and come up from a crisis situation that we are currently in. In the month of May, you might be experience a little bit of preview of that in form of new insights that you might be receiving. We have currently sun shining in your house of communication and commercial ideas. This is a time when you're usually very, very busy. You're busy communicating, you're busy learning, you're busy in your daily interaction. This is possibly in a normal year the most busy part of the year for you, when you're interacting a lot with people. The phone rings, you have to write a lot of emails. There is increased awareness of our immediate environment and our role in the community here. We are much more alert during the season, and that is especially true in terms of financial agreements. This is a time when financial transactions in a normal year would be much more. You'll be sort of having a lot more opportunities in your immediate environment. You'll be taking advantage of that. Even in the current situation right now, you would be having an overactivity when it relates to you exploring, searching, connecting, finding social interaction that are of help to you, finding those sliver of hope and further growth that comes through human interaction, even if it is online. And now, with Uranus in your house of communication since 2019 to 2026, you are the zodiac sign who has the unique opportunity and responsibility to innovate. Innovate in the way we communicate with each other, innovate in the way ideations happen, innovate in the way that certain ideas and insights come, and we are able to create a commercial activity out of that. This is the highest learning curve that anybody can be gifted with. Uranus over here can give you sudden download of a lot of information. You can learn about something totally new from scratch at the speed that you have never learned before with Uranus over here. It comes with detached clarity, rational, unique clarity ahead of time of the trends that are about to come. This is where we don't know why we know what we know. This is the aspect that Einstein had. So in this moment of being away from everyone, in this moment of being in isolation, being socially distant, even then learning, reading, interacting with people who you could through internet or through other means, there might be ideation, innovative thinking that might be forming in your immediate surrounding. You might be coming up with new ideas to solve the new problems that we are in. You might be looking at finding ways to express and connect with people in the most innovative way. You will be looking at progressive skills, new skills that are required to run your business. You'll be looking at new contracts, new way of modifying existing written contracts that need to be modified to make them compatible with the new world that we are going into. You are the inventive, original thinker of our generation. You'll be having sudden ideas and insights into your life, and this could be through suddenly unique people coming in your immediate surrounding. This is not somebody really distant or away from you. This is you making use of your immediate surrounding and creating something commercially valuable out of that. You get more out of familiar and an immediate environment, and more freedom is needed in your immediate environment for you to innovate. You'll need more space to think. You'll need more detachment to some extent to think. And you'll be restless for it. This is a very, very restless aspect. And this is a time when most of us are restless, but having Uranus in your house of mind, Uranus is lightning bolt, it's vibration. It vibrates through our psyche. You'll be feeling a little bit antsy to do something new, where you can create something innovative when it comes to communication, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to learning something new. You want to make use of what's about to come. A brand new world with a different way of connecting with each other. You have a beautiful mind. You have an artistic mind. You have a skillful mind. Having Uranus over here adds innovation to the beauty, the artistic nature, and the skill set that you have. You'll be writing, reading, learning practical ways of creating commercial value of the new world we are going into. And normally, you would like to take a slow or not a slow way, but normally Pisces likes to talk through things, not make quick decisions, not make quick moves when it comes to decision. Uranus over here makes you or puts you in situation where quick decisions need to be made. Learning curves are very steep when this happens. Quick contracts, quick combination, quick written material needs to be created to move into the new world. This is where arts, talents, self-development, writing, communication skills, selling skills, creative works goes through a sudden transformation and sudden changes. This is where sort of short trips maybe need to be made, or you need to interact more with your immediate surrounding in some way, in innovative ways for you to create value. You need to create new ways of interacting with your co-workers to some extent here. Communication becomes very, very critical here. The words become very critical here. And what's happening along with this aspect, which is very busy, there is a very different part of your psyche, which is the unconscious mind, the hidden mind, the psychology, where Saturn is there. Saturn is in your house of unconscious beliefs and everything that is hidden from us in normal discourse. A complete different part of our brain, a completely different part of our thinking. Uranus is in your house of external talk. How do we talk to others? How do we connect to others? The ideas which are commercial, practical in nature. On the other end, Saturn is working its way through your psyche. And it will stay there for the next 2.5 years. Saturn is here to remove every speck of hidden blockage that does not let you be you. For 2.5 years, Saturn is cleaning house. It is here till about March of 2023. It entered this house from 21st of March 2020. Around the time when social isolation to some extent began. And this is the very definition of social isolation to some extent. Saturn in our house of subconscious takes us more inward. It takes us through an inward journey because it wants us to resolve the issues from the past that hold us back. It wants us to overcome certain habits, certain negative way of thinking even, which does not let us move forward. There's a huge amount of personal reflection and to some extent solitude that comes with Saturn over here, which is required for you to get clarity. Clarity in isolation, clarity in stillness, and you might be in the process of experiencing that very, very strongly at the same time when you are looking to ideate for the future. So these two energies have an obvious conflict with each other. Saturn wants to define realistic strategy. And these two energies can support each other as well. These are both the houses of growth, but different kind of growth. One is commercial external growth and the other is internal psychological growth. Saturn wants to define realistic strategies when you go out into the unknown, when you're dealing with things that are completely unknown to you, when you're dealing with the volatility of the current environment. What do you hold on to? What is the kind of that peaceful center, the clean core that you hold on to? Also, Just being out and about for commercial purpose without having a knowledge of our place in the universe is something that does not agree with the very essence of your zodiac sign. Pisces need to have a meaning to their life which is beyond commercial creation. And Saturn gives life a purpose beyond mundane. Saturn over here sort of makes us find our place in the universe. It gives us tools to do that. The most inspirational insights you have ever experienced will be experienced with Saturn over here, and they might come in the moment of quiet, they might come in the moment of isolation, they might come in the moment of stillness. But the contrast of being out and about and the need to be with yourself, this contrast will become more and more evident in 2021, and you'll have to merge the best of both the world. These are cadent houses. They're releasing you. They're releasing you to take responsibility of your own subconscious beliefs and unconscious patterns that drive what you do outside in the world. Because everything we do outside, the way we interact, the way we sell, the way we communicate with our immediate environment is driven through subconscious beliefs. So Saturn is trying to be a strict parent, and it wants us to meet those fears, those subconscious beliefs head on to some extent. And it will help us release them through discipline, through a spiritual discipline, through yoga, through meditation, through any kind of practice that you want to be engaged in. Past is confronted over here, only to be released. The last 28 years are being released. Saturn comes here once in 28 years, and when it comes, the whole cycle of last 28 years is coming to an end. Our old patterns are coming to an end. Saturn will come in your zodiac sign after 29 years in 2023, and you're getting ready for that. You're being prepared for that. But this is what is happening below the surface while there is this whole whirlpool of activity going on above the surface. These will be the contrasts, and both are going to be part of you. Personal sacrifices might need to be made because you'll make a commitment to some sort of ideal over here. When Saturn is in our house of faith, we make a promise to ourselves to do something which does not exist right now. We make a promise to an ideal. We make a commitment to an ideal. Something that does not exist but is above everything else, above commercial. We make a commitment to an ideal that does not exist, and it transcends commercial. It is a social cause, a belief, a commitment to your own evolution that you make right now. It could be a voluntary task or something that you want to create and leave for the world that you make a commitment to. And that requires a little bit of personal sacrifice. A combination of these two is required. One where you're sort of looking at your commercial destiny, and the other where you want to be part of the universe. You want to be one with the fabric of the very existence that is our universe, and you want to contribute to the world socially in some way. These are two parts of you that would need to be merged in some ways or taken care of individually. We don't longer want to be who we have been before when this happens. We no longer place importance to the growth sources that we used to place importance to before. This is the house of faith, and our faith gets completely transformed during this time. Confinement or loneliness to some extent, or being away from the crowd, makes us re-evaluate our life purpose here. There's an intense soul searching which happens. There's a little bit of loss of our old self that happens, and you begin to transform, whether you see it externally or not. Below the surface, you start to transform, and you challenge your old way of deriving faith. This is not about social image. This is not about external praise. This is not about acknowledgement from others. This is about sharing your ideals and hopes with others without the return of expectation. And Saturn is going to give you the dedication and the discipline to give others, to share with others your gift. And to some extent, there is a little bit of karmic destiny involved with that. This is not where you sort of push to do it, but you feel it's your destiny in some ways to help people without getting into a sort of limelight to some extent. And in the process of trying to do this, you're dealing with your own fears, you're dealing with your own patterns, you're dealing with your own complexes here, with discipline, with some amount of objectivity as well. But without handling those complexes, your commercial life as well would not prosper. So these two houses, these two cadent or growth houses of external prosperity, communication, meeting with people who are very, very unique, interacting on new ideas, and this dealing with the psychological complexes that are below the surface, these two houses feed off each other. One is unconscious mind and the other is conscious talk. The one is about sacrificing, the other is about commercial success. One is about hidden things, and the other is the immediate need of time, the current moment. You'll find that clashing with each other. And you'll see in some ways that play out in the real world. Without handling your fears, you will not be able to connect with people who are very, very unique in an authentic fashion. When Uranus is in a house of communication, it is like we have a fresh mind. We have a completely different mind. We have a new way of thinking, fresh way of thinking. We are not being colored by our past belief when we are talking to people. It is like we're learning a new way. We're reprogramming our mind and it's being downloaded with fresh software altogether. It's like complete reformatting of the mind and our skill set. And Saturn is busy dealing with the past to some extent. Saturn is feeling things. Saturn is digging out emotional complexes that are hidden deep below. So these will be obvious two parts of you that you'll have to deal with together in 2020, and you might already be feeling that. These are two different levels of reality as well. The house where Uranus is the third house of observation, when we believe what we see. While Saturn is saying, let's see what lies below the surface. So if somebody is saying something, you sort of will look at it and think, what is the hidden meaning behind that? This can play out in positive or negative fashion. In some ways, you can have uncanny insight into people with this aspect. It can give you uncanny insight about the people who are coming in your immediate surroundings, and you'll sense them very easily. As a water sign, you have a natural proclivity to be able to do that. You sense people psychologically. You're an intuitive sign. But with this square, that observation, external observation, and this intuition has a way of merging with each other. You are able to observe a lot more and figure out the hidden information behind that as well. But this is the negative side of it, is mixed messages. Mixed messages, because we sort of never are able to figure out what's going on. We look at one thing and then we try to figure out something deep within. We try to color to some extent what we see with our own unconscious complexes, with our own fears, what we are seeing in front of us. We try to color with our own fears to some extent and then start seeing what we observe with that lens. So the objective observation gets colored by our own unconscious beliefs, which is a downside of it, which we've got to be a little bit on lookout for. Uranus wants us to have this clear mind, objective mind, detached mind to some extent. And these two need to be dealt in some ways, that what you're observing, your capacity to take decision, your capacity to clearly perceive life is not getting distorted by deep-rooted unconscious complexes. And that can only happen if those deep-rooted fears and complexes are being effectively dealt with separately. And you can deal with them. With Saturn over here, Saturn in Aquarius is at its best. It is not just able to help you deal with it, you can help other people deal with it. Saturn in Aquarius can make you an expert in that. It can make you a sort of a teacher in that, a person who can help people in a network on their own fears, on their own patterns which are subconscious, which they block them. You can inspire people through your own experience. But you'll need to examine, clean up through psychological analysis, through writing, through speaking to yourself, through talking to someone, your own subconscious belief for you to be commercially successful. This can also show up in your sibling relationship, mixed messages with siblings. Unresolved past issues with siblings can come up as well when this square exists. And for that, you have to be careful, and you might see some amount of initial shoots of that happening right now. You'll see the positive of it and the negative of it, but this is a very strong aspect which will dominate 2021, and it will become the source of creative breakthrough for you. It will enable you, it will give you the discipline to be commercially successful without doubting yourself. It will give you the amount of courage you have never had before. And at the same time, you will reprogram yourself psychologically through it. And you will create something which will come up like a brainwave if it has not hit yet, which is very inspirational. You'll be committing to an ideal, something that does not exist right now, a social cause or something that suddenly comes to you through an experience, through interaction with people. So that's what I wanted to speak to you, Pisces, about. Just a quick note, though I have a separate video on the Venus retrograde, but just to let you know that Venus will be going retrograde starting from 13th of May all the way till 25th of June. And it is an important transit for you because Venus is going retrograde in your house of home and family. So something related to real estate, something related to designing of the house, something related to your parents, your relationship with your parents, your relationship with your family can come up. And this is happening at a time when Mars is coming into your sign. After 2 years, Mars will be in your sign starting from 13th of May, and it will stay there till about 27th of June. This feels fabulous. When Mars is in our sign, we feel that we have the energy back in our body. We have the courage to get things. We sort of have to place ourselves first and do the things. It gives you courage to get what you love, essentially. Venus is what we love. Venus retrograde will help you review what you truly need. What do you need to ask for to feel more abundant in your life? What do you need to do in your family life? What kind of changes you want in the equation that you have with your family? And Mars will give you the drive to get it. You'll feel more prompted to speak up for yourself, to speak your desires when it comes to your home and family. On a mundane level, you have a desire for a beautiful home. Something shifts in your home or family which prompts you to maybe change the decor of the house, or you just want to redecorate your house. You want to have a investment in real estate. You might be renegotiating a lease, renegotiating a property. There's something related to business property even which can come up over here. Commercial real estate could come into focus over here. That requires redecoration. That requires maybe renegotiation of the lease or the rent. You could be reviewing some real estate investment or a renovation or your business which involves all of that. Because Venus is the sign of finances, something related to finances, related to real estate, related to home, related to parental property could come into focus. But the underlying theme, because every retrograde has a growth theme, the growth theme of this Venus retrograde is to ask clearly in business and in personal life what you want. Voicing that and not letting the issues simmer below the surface. It will prompt you to speak up when it comes to personal situation. And this is a very critical transit for you. It will reach a little bit of conflict in the early part of June. In fact, the 2nd or 3rd of June, Venus is making a clashing aspect with Mars in your sign. And that is happening around 2nd or 3rd of June. And you'll experience that from last week of May itself. You want to truly you have the courage to stand up for yourself, and Venus is prompting you to ask what you desire, and that could result in a conflict at home with your mother, with parent relationship, with somebody in your house, with even children. It can bring up some past emotional issues as well. It can bring up a conflict over property, over family estate, over inheritance. And that requires you to stand up for yourself and ask for your fair share when it comes to relationships, when it comes to home and family. You'll be prompted to defend yourself in some way. And that is very much a road to success for you. It is sort of prompting you towards where you need to go. You sort of need to take care of your own emotional fulfillment and your own stability, and that is the road to success as well, Pisces, with North Node over here. So this Venus retrograde is prompting you towards the right direction, the right growth path. Venus being over here is a very good aspect because it sort of adds to our roots, it adds to our foundation, it adds to our receptive side. We receive more love by learning how to ask for it. We receive more harmony by asking for it to some extent. Retrograde will also teach you what you want to hold on to and what does not support you anymore, because this is your house of support. So if there are things in your home that does not feel, where you don't feel love, there could be something that needs to be mentally or physically released when it comes to the things that you used to value earlier. Your value system is shifting. So what you have in your life that you need to release, that is holding you back to some extent when it comes to your expenses, when it comes to your house and home and family. You look at that and possibly release some of that. And I'm saving the best for the last. There's one more aspect that I needed to tell you about, which is a beautiful cosmic smile that we're going to observe on 16th of May in the sky, when Jupiter, Venus and Moon are going to be aligned in the sky looking like a smile. And astrologically that day is very, very good for us, because between 15th to 17th of May we have both Sun and to some extent Mercury making a positive aspect with Jupiter and Pluto, and these are some excellent aspect to have to get a commercial breakthrough. I would use 15th to 17th of May and even the coming week to some extent, when this aspect is being made with Mercury, to have conversation with somebody who's influential in your business network, to break through in a business network in some ways. Jupiter is about to go retrograde on 14th of May, and Jupiter is the planet of expansion. It is your ruler. It is standing still in your house of hopes and dreams and network. It can help you have a breakthrough with somebody. So if there was a network person, an influential supplier, or a network person, or an influential business resource, or a platform on which you were looking to have success, these dates are excellent between 15 to 17 to launch something to that network, to have a messaging out to them, to have a new marketing campaign out to them, to have a new commercial opportunity out to a network or to a supplier. These are some excellent dates for that, and this is especially true if you are a little bit on the end side of Pisces, which is between 27th to 25 to 27 degree of Pisces, which is around 17th of March born if you're a Pisces sun. But all of you will feel this grand earth trine that is forming over next week and becomes exact between 15th to 17th of May with the cosmic smile in the sky. And I hope that makes you smile this month. I hope that some positive news comes during that time in this volatile period. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video now, Pisces. Thank you.